Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome to the Grand Finals of the RSL, a big StarCraft 2 tournament with a prize pool of 10 million Korean won, which is the equivalent of about $6,500, close to 6,000 euros. Spotting right here in the upper left, in this best of 7 series, in game number 1 on a map called, and this is by far the worst map name that we have for this particular RSL season. The map is called Missing You Today. Spotting right here in the upper left, we have MaxPax, our first finalist. His opponent, playing right here with the blue Zerg pieces and canceling an Overlord, it seems. We have none other than Rogue. What are we doing, Rogue? Did we get a little bit excited? Are you doing, okay. Maybe we made a couple of small errors. Doesn't really matter all too much. Either way, this particular series was played just recently, and I'm very excited to figure it out. Now, this is a double elimination tournament, which does mean that the Grand Finals is a little bit more complex to explain. In a double elimination format, what we mostly see these days in modern StarCraft 2 is that the person coming from the upper bracket, aka the person that hasn't yet lost a single series in the tournament during the playoff stage, they will get a small advantage. The advantage that they get in this particular instance, I think, is a little bit more than just small. Either way, usually it's maybe like a map veto advantage or like a map score advantage or something along those lines. But in this particular instance, since MaxPax comes from the upper bracket, if he ends up winning this best of 7, the series is over and the Grand Finals is done. He will be the victor of the tournament. If Rogue, however, wins the best of 7, we have an additional shorter series on the back of it to decide the winner once and for all. And that is because, well, MaxPax hasn't lost the series yet, whereas Rogue has. And because of it, well, we get this this advantage for him. I personally am a fan of like a veto advantage or something along those lines, just to make the finals a little bit easier to explain. But yeah, who knows? Maybe MaxPax will just win at the first possible opportunity, which would mean that he does indeed win the entire tournament. But it always gets a little bit confusing when we do see the player coming from the lower bracket, doing really well, and then another reset match at the end of it. Now, of course, this is going to be played cross-server. This is an online match. Not only is the RSL usually played online, they have had some offline situations as well, but this is, of course, MaxPax participating, and MaxPax does not actually play in any offline events. He has never done it before, and I don't think he's planning on ever doing it either. Now, luckily for him, most of the tournaments these days are online, so he can indeed continue playing. It is going to be a very normal Stargate opener here from him, so he will be going into the Oracle build here, I'm sure, and it's something that I am expecting in basically every single game of this series. MaxPax is not a very spicy player. He will go for probably like 2 to 3 Oracles into Blink Stalkers, a third Nexus between 3.5 to 350 or so. Like, MaxPax mixing it up is him getting a faster third Nexus before making a second gateway. Like, that is MaxPax going a little insane. Alright, that is him going for maybe a Twilight Council follow-up into, like, Glaive to Depths rather than Blink. That is MaxPax on a crazy day, but he's very far from... I was just gonna say it's very far from Hero, but hey, look at this. Maybe MaxPax took an evening class with Hero, where he learned how to not wall off. There is indeed a hole in the wall over there, too. All right, anyways. Hero is usually the crazy Protoss. MaxPax is, yeah, usually a little bit more reliable. Maybe he's missing Hero today. Who knows? All right, couple of Adepts going in. Will they be able to get any work done? Probably not. It's become reasonably common lately to just YOLO in the Adepts and hope for the best. I'm never a big fan of it, but we've been seeing this quite a lot on Europe, where apparently Protosses are happy with like 2 worker kills and that's about it. Not the case though. This is indeed, by the way, a third Nexus before a second gateway. We are gonna fill up the wall here with a pylon. It's a little bit scuffed, but as long as we don't all army hotkey the Adept away, we should still be okay. It's going to be a Twilight Council now as well inside of the main base, so probably Blink 9 times out of 10. MaxPax really does enjoy going for the Blink follow-up. Now, even though MaxPax is a very normal player, right? He likes to open up with very standard builds most of the time. Rogue is a bit of a maniac. He's perfectly capable of playing the macro game. He does so most of the time. But he will go Nidus all in. He will go Proxy Hatch. He will take whatever it, well, needs, right? He will do whatever it takes to get the job done. And he's certainly not afraid. to mix things up from time to time. Drones here are going to die. And this is quite good here for Max. 4 workers is real nice. Yeah. 2 is kind of an even trade. 3 is decent. 4 is where you start being really happy as a Protoss. Now, I do find this kind of ironic. It's not going to be Blink. MaxPax going straight into Glaive Adepts. The irony, of course, is that he just, well, let 2 of his Adepts die right before they get that straight-up attack speed improvement. So that's maybe a little bit annoying here for him. But also, maybe just donating those Adepts here a little bit earlier on. I mean, obviously, you did get paid for it, but giving those away, it may just lure Rogue into a false sense of security, who is indeed not going into a Roach Warren here, but instead decides to go for his newly beloved... Where are you guys going? Ah, we're trying to go down to the low ground already. It's a little greedy, man. His newly beloved macro hatchery over here. He's been doing this a lot lately to make wall-offs. Now, he's actually making a lot of hatcheries at once. So he made that macro hatch over here just for larva generation. Then he made that 4th base that we just saw, and then the 5th right over here, too. So this is him effectively not going into any Roach Warren, any Baneling Nest, nothing. I mean, he's making one right here, but it's a little too late. It's pure Zergling until, like, minute 8. And this is going to be a smart move against the Glaive Adept opener. He's trying to see if he can wall himself in. He will successfully pull it off after the Adepts arrive, which is not quite what he was hoping for. And did Rogue just make a tremendous mistake? Maybe he assumed what I was assuming, you know, that this was indeed going to be MaxPax opening up with the most normal way to open up with Protoss, which would mean Blink Stalkers. Against Blink Stalkers, +1 melee is really powerful. Rogue, however, is now being torn apart by a relatively normal opener here. This is, I mean, maybe not quite MaxPax's standard, but he will always mix this in a series. It's by no means an all-in either. He does lose all of those Adepts here, but I mean, 16 Adepts for 49 Zerglings and then 26 drones is phenomenal. There is going to be a counterattack, and there is a wide-open Nexus at the 12 o'clock position, but keep in mind that Glaive Adepts are also useful for base defense. Could certainly warp in a bunch more here to try and keep that Nexus around. Rogue doesn't know about the base up north. He will see it right here. But is it already maybe a little bit too difficult for him to get into position? There's Oracles up in the air too, so as long as the Oracles are, close to where they need to be, they can just zap all of these links to death. And I think MaxPax is getting away with a really lovely opener. Now, on the back of this, Rogue is just making non-stop drones. So, none of the queens actually ended up going down. Obviously, they were trying their best to keep this this macro going, but because of it, he can immediately start injecting again. He can immediately return to drone production. Another little hit squad of workers, though, is indeed, or another hit squad, rather, of Adepts here, is going to go after the workers. And while they are going to sack themselves, they did kill a bunch of drones, deny a bunch of mining, and it looks to me like, yeah, they have bought a bunch of time now, too, for the charge research to be done. So we're going Archon charge right here on the back of this. This is honestly a little bit different than I expected MaxPax to play. This is more aggressive than we normally see MaxPax approach this matchup, but I kind of love it so far. If I was in Rogue shoes right here, I would also be wondering what to expect from this Protoss in the next game of the series. Because clearly MaxPax is already showing us that he's capable of a little bit more than maybe a lot of people assume. I mean, obviously he's one of the world's greatest Protoss players out there, but he definitely does have a preference as far as playstyles go, and usually he really enjoys going for the Blink Stalkers. He will be following this up with Blink Stalkers, but for now, man, this attack is looking mighty dangerous. Archons on both sides absolutely destroying the links. Rogue calls a single G as MaxPax demolishes him in game number 1. This wasn't even close. Next up, we find ourselves on 10,000 feet. Rogue has decided to send out a drone right at the very beginning of the game. He is going to pretend that he wants to go for an expend, the pretend expend. But in reality, oh man, are we doing it again, Mr. Rogue? Yep. In reality, we are building up a proxy hatch, and this is one of the things I really like about Rogue's playstyle. The man proxy hatches everybody. He's doing it to Terrans, he's doing it against Protoss. Sadly for him, this particular Protoss has now seen that there is no natural expansion taken, and I think this is likely going to prompt the probe, to go down to the low ground immediately. We do need to definitely plant down the cyber core here before the Nexus, but maybe we should poke out a little bit further too. Wait, does this prove that MaxPax doesn't watch my videos? Yo, Max, if you would have watched it, you would have known that Rogue has done this a bunch of times lately. Hello. Ah, okay, he did watch. MaxPax, known Lowko fan. Fun fact about MaxPax, he always hits the like button. Don't you want to be like MaxPax? MaxPax hits the like button. Like, he goes back to old videos and hits the like button there too. It's incredible. All right, Forge. All right, wait a second. What are we doing right now? We have a... I mean, what looks like, in my mind, this immediately screams Forge Fast Expend. That's not what it is. But this is what Protoss players used to do back in Wings of Liberty, I think, which is like 15 years ago. I don't like it. Anyhow, this is the way that Protoss players used to get safe expansions out back in the early days of StarCraft. Is there another hole in this wall, by the way? No, I think it's fine, but... Okay, he's walling himself in fully. That's the shield battery over here. He's checking as well if there's a hole. We should certainly be making a photon cannon right here, but he doesn't have the minerals for it, which is a little curious. He is chrono boosting out a zealot, or a sentry rather, so he will have a little bit of tickling available, but also a force field if that's what it takes. Drone has arrived. Spinecrawler coming up. Okay. And it's time for Brenda to poop on the edge and start shooting spines. Look, it's not much, but it's honest work. Do we cannon rush this base as well, Max? Is that a good idea, or are we accidentally going to stumble upon this probe? No, Rogue is on a tech move to the other side of the map. Doesn't really want to... Yeah, he's just using this for scouting. Wants to see if there's a roach warren or if there's an additional mining going on. Not the case at all. Oh, Stalker's on the wrong side! No, maybe it's intentional. Has to be intentional. You better start poking, dude. You better poke now. You better think twice. Now, does Guardian Shield work against Spinecrawler pokes? This is weird, man. What am I watching right now? This looks like a 18+ ad for some first StarCraft content. What is this? Is this... Can I stream this? Can I, like, bring this up on the internet? What do you think, Rogue? That he wasn't gonna move the Stalker? Did you forget the Stalker had legs? There's so many feet on this map, man. How could you forget? In the meantime, by the way, we do have a cheeky little bit of mining here of the backdoor entrance. Really messing with the terms of service now. Anyways, we have a bit of mining here of the backdoor entrance as Rogue is desperately trying to bring his Zergling squad up the high ground. There is still energy for one force field. I wonder if we, should have used it a little sooner. Could have used it before all of those links flooded up here. Wait a second, is this still going to work? Keep in mind, the Stalker's kind of stuck. Oracle is now available, though, and that one is going to have a grand old time. Energy recharge is available at the moment, but that is so many Zerglings. Wait a second. Did Rogue just still pull this off? Maybe. Well, so far, he hasn't actually killed any workers other than 3. He wants to go after the pylon, which will prevent the second Oracle from spawning. This bad boy is going to run out of energy here eventually. He did already energy recharge it. New wall is going to be constructed, but won't start up fully. Pylon will be built again by the probe that was still hiding inside of the Vespian gas geyser. More and more Zerglings are slipping through the cracks. MaxPax actually surviving this with minimal amounts of losses so far. But the problem is that the Oracle is out of energy. He needs to get that second Oracle out ASAP, and it will spawn. That's really big. Obviously, Rogue doesn't know when it pops. You will see it now. And this is a disaster now for Rogue. Yeah. MaxPax is going to return to mining in the main base. He will re-establish the wall. And now this is when Rogue has to make a decision. What do you do here moving forward? He's making a Roach Warren. He's building up as many drones as he can, but he is horribly behind income-wise. And obviously, he doesn't really have a counter against these Oracles. So, yeah, that's a bunch of dead drones as well. 3 drones, normally not that big of a deal. I guess we have energy only for 2. But 2 is still like 10% of his total eco. Great force field over here. Shield battery has been set up perfectly, so no workers are going to die in the natural either. And this is an absolute disaster here. Oh, he's making a second forge. Wait, did he forget he already built a forge? You have one right here. Guess he wants to go +1, but He forgot that he already made a photon cannon or two. Alright, now the Adepts are gonna make themselves look wide. Standing shoulder to shoulder like that. They're pretty good at canceling the Zerglings. Okay. That was a little bit awkward, but it's gonna return to the safety here of the shield battery. Yeah, and I think what we're witnessing here is Rogue making a desperate play to get the job done. But the problem is he cannot really stop the Oracles very easily at home, and there really isn't a lot of longevity in this game for him. MaxPax is going to outgrow him so fast over the next few minutes. Like, MaxPax hasn't even really begun army production yet, and he's already winning in supply. Soon we're going to be entering, indeed, the... he did cancel the Forge in the main, by the way, but soon we are indeed entering the charge era here for Protoss, and we have the +1 attack coming up as well. That's going to allow those Zealots to 2-shot Zerglings rather than 3-shot, which is a massive improvement, but he does need to finish up the upgrades first. And until that point, Queens, Spore Crawlers, Zerglings, and those Ravagers especially are very dangerous. Maybe there's a shot here for Rogue. Like, he's got one shot, one opportunity. Oof, nice force fields yet again. To seize everything he ever wanted. One moment. Wouldn't mind seeing a backup pylon here. I mean, he has one down south, I suppose. Yeah, he's gonna lose that pylon over there. He's gonna lose the photon cannon too. +1 is likely going to get denied. Charge, though, is the really big one. Ooh, yeah, the corrosive balls are dangerous. Wait a second, is Rogue still pulling this off? Cybercore is required in order to warp in Stalkers, Sentries, and all the rest of it, but yeah. Zealots are coming up, and I think Charge is indeed the obvious follow-up here. Rogue, he's trying to make the best of a bad situation, but he just does not have the units to pull it off. GG. Alrighty, next up, we find ourselves on everybody's favorite, Celestial Enclave. I feel like ever since I had to reset my audio interface, it sounds more like an airport announcement than an actual Celestial Enclave. I'm gonna have to look into my settings, but at the very least it's working again, which is nice. Ugh. Yeah, it's a good audio interface, but also, it's a little complex. Yeah, I know I can fix it. I can change the different... I don't know how to do this. Okay, I'm not gonna try and do it right now. It's a terrible idea. No, MaxPax! Dude, MaxPax really did take an evening class together with Hero. I mean, this one is not a big deal. But also, the creator of the Celestial Enclave, I believe it's Patches, put a lot of effort with a freaking hexagon right over here that indicates where you need to be planting down the bloody pylon. Does this mean nothing to you? Maybe it means too much to me, man. Like, I've officially never been diagnosed with anything, but... I mean, Twitch chat has Twitch MD has diagnosed me with many things over the years, but... My god. Why didn't we just put it right over... Oh, well. Oh, well. Oh, well. Alright, alright. I'll try and let it go. Probe going in. Just being a nuisance. MaxPax steals 5 minerals on his way out. Kind of rude, I will say. First, this guy goes in, harasses the drone, tries to prevent it from building a hatchery. Hatchery is forced on over. Then it attacks the drones over here, does a little bit of disruption on the mining, and then it goes home with 5 minerals in its mouth. Do you have to be a prick to be a Protoss player? That's the question we ask ourselves today. Stargate opener here for MaxPax yet again. Yeah, I guess in order to be a good StarCraft player, you do have to be a bit of a bully. Which is funny, because I think most StarCraft players probably got bullied. No, it's not funny at all, actually. Anyways. This is our revenge arc. The bullier, or the bullied, became the bully. Oh. Second Adept is going to be joining in. So we can start one-shotting the drones. No, I don't think it's enough, Rogue, is it? Maybe? Okay, link speed is done. That definitely will fix it. Never mind. Didn't quite realize how close link speed was to finishing up. And that is going to be a bit annoying here for Max. But, even though he did not quite get the magic number of at least 2 workers... Wow, he just planted down to third base. That's crazy. I guess the Oracle is going to be close by enough. Yeah, it's okay, actually. Obviously, Zerg did make quite a few links, right? So if you make about a dozen Zerg links, and then you end up, well, saving your drones, you have now spent larva that could have gone to drones into Zerglings instead. Like, every 2 Zerglings could have been a drone, and if you make a dozen Zerglings, you've effectively reduced your own income by 6 potential drones. So there is this weird balancing act that you do have to do as the Zerg. Oracle is gonna likely be used again. Yep, this is the second Oracle. Bylon does at least die, that's something. But look at the worker count right now, right? So this is the cleanest opener for Rogue so far as like, drones lost go. But we still are behind economically. The Zerg dilemma over here. Also, MaxPax did go for a very greedy third. We once more have Twilight. Twilight together with Blink, I would imagine, this time around. I mean, I said that in the first game. And then he went... he went Glaive the Depths into charge. And in game number 2, he also only went charge. I think it's Blink, though, yeah. This is a much more normal game. Blink, indeed, makes a lot of sense. Look at Rogue, man. So Rogue, again, double expense. Kind of interesting. In game number 1, he made 3 hatcheries all in one go. He also did have a quick Evo chamber for +1 research, and then he made a macro hatchery too. This time around, he will actually not have the rock, paper, scissors go in his favor. This is one of those things where, as a Zerg player, you would prefer having +1 melee this time around, aka the build that Rogue was doing in game number 1. But as we saw, it's not an ideal choice if your opponent decides to open up, for example, Glaive the Depths. So now he decides to go for a safe version against Glaive the Depths, which is not what he's playing against. Roach Warren instead. +1 coming up here for Max. It's one of those little gambles that you have to make as a Zerg player in order to compete. It's one of the little luxuries that Protoss has. This is the... Yeah, this is the strategy that you can't really go wrong with as a Protoss player. Like, this is just always good. It is always good, with a little asterisk right next to that statement. It is always good if the Protoss is good. Because it does require very minute little bit of micro, right? And you need to make sure that you also actually position your units in the right place at the right time, and that you use your oracles properly and all the rest of it. This is not an easy build. But if you're really good at the game like MaxPax is, this is one of those, yeah, really powerful builds that's just super well-rounded. He's gonna have Archons on the back of this. He's gonna have Charge on the back of this too, and obviously that means he can go into Storm as well later on if he wants it. From here on out, Protoss does have a lot of options. Yeah, he was thinking about blinking across. Instead, he will just settle for a couple drone kills there with the Oracles instead. Okay, we are gonna go Storm. Downside right here for Max, as he does blink across. Woo-hoo-hoo! Okay. Well, Stalker is also kind of stasis in there. Downside here for Max is that he's not got a 4th Nexus. Oh no, I think Rogue actually does all army hotkey that one Zergling back right as the 4th Nexus was queued in. Mass transfusions though here from Rogue is, yeah, he's trying his absolute best to keep that Nexus, the Zerg Nexus alive. Stalker over here will be sacrificed because it didn't make the blink. But the hatchery did die, and that's a big deal. Rogue does have, though, a ridiculous amount of army. And he needs to use it here ASAP. We're obviously going to have Storm done soon. There's already a line of High Templar. A conglomeration of High Templar. A murder of High Templar. A school of... Okay, I'm done. I don't know what they're called, but we have a bunch of them hanging out together. Zergling run by in the far bottom right. Killing this Nexus is a good start. Yep, and it will go down. This is now going to reduce Max back down to just 67 workers. Gen Alpha, rejoice. Somehow the static defense survived, and even though the Nexus did have to be delayed, he just restarts it up. Fair enough. Hydras trying their absolute best. Couple Archons here being morphed in. MaxPax didn't even need to use the Storm. Now, this is one of those Zerg unit compositions that is definitely, like, it needs to be trading out soon, because you're maxed, pretty much, and MaxPax is not yet maxed. Like, he wants to be a MaxPax, but we're not quite there yet. So he goes for the 4th Nexus. He's also building up a fleet beacon. If MaxPax indeed does get up to 200 supply, it is going to be very difficult for Rogue to stop it with this type of army. Like, this is an army that's meant to be fighting. And instead what we're doing is we're running track around the outside of the map. Like, these Hydras already have run at least a 10k. They're going back and forth, but none of them have actually really attacked yet. I mean, other than this dude who has 1 confirmed kill. I don't know what that is. Yeah, so MaxPax is actually proceeding here very well, even though he did lose the expansion. I think what he's doing is very smart. Like, he doesn't seem to have a lot of urgency. He knows that Zerg is coming for him. Mama is coming out. There's no counter for the mothership at this point in time at all. Max, though, is set up in so many different locations. Ooh, nice little warp in there in the end. Zerglings, though, do now stream into the natural expansion. Most of the Templar are over at the 3rd base. They also actually take damage from their own storms. The units from the bottom right are desperately trying to run on over in this direction too, but MaxPax may have just found himself in a pretty tough position, although I say that. The amount of actual damage dealt here to the Protoss is relatively small. We see more and more reinforcements coming in. The storms here from those Templar from the bottom right are good. Mama is about halfway done. I don't think the Hydras are easily going to be able to finish the job. They're trying to target down the Nexus. They will actually kill it in the end, but that was a mighty expensive push for for Rogue. And what did MaxPax actually lose? Yeah, a couple Templar, a few Stalkers, 2 Immortals, an Archon, bunch of Zealots, but this is all very replaceable. And on the back of this, MaxPax actually has a very similar economy to the Zerg. Considering, yeah, Zerg is going for a very disposable army. He needs to be able to replenish this really quickly, too. Killing the mothership, actually, or denying the mothership is a big deal. Prism, in the meantime, going in. My concern right here for Rogue is that he does not have a counter at all to Mama. MaxPax is going to be able to just dominate the battlefield with it. Like, this is not a Zerg economy where he can easily plant down a Spire and go for, like, I don't know, a whole lot of units there. He obviously has Hydras, but Hydras should never really be able to kill a mothership unless Protoss really makes a big mistake. So, I'm a bit concerned for the next few minutes here for Rogue. Like, he's okay for now, but this always feels like one of those unit compositions for Zerg where you kind of play to stay alive rather than to win. Like, the big push we saw into the natural here, that was the one where, yeah, Rogue was intending to actually obtain the victory and ultimately just sort of traded out some units. Now Mama is out, and she has no counter. Now, we do have Lurkers coming up. Interestingly enough, the Lurkers are coming before the Lurker upgrades are finished, and Rogue seems to be prepared to go for a big attack. Multi-pronged aggression yet again, though, but here's Mama going in together with her Storm buddies. She already has 5 confirmed kills of her own. What about the Hydras over here on the right side of the map? There's a bit of static defense buying time, but I think the positioning here for MaxPax is yet again really strong. Yeah, MaxPax is a bit of a beast. Look, in game number 1, he was extremely aggressive. In game number 2, well, that was a tough one. He needed to be super defensive on a small amount of bases. Now he needs to be hyper defensive on 4 bases here, which is a very different skill set yet again. But MaxPax seems to be navigating all of this brilliantly. Rogue's building up a Spire. He's going Ultra Cavern. He's getting all the upgrades going. But he's doing this on an economy that is similar to that of the Protoss. And I just don't really know how that's going to work out in the long run. The Celestial Enclave, of course, does feature this in-base expansion. So even though the main is going to start running low, even though the natural is going to start running low, that is where those probes can go and live for a little while. And by the time that, that expansion runs out, MaxPax will be maxed out for a while already. And I think that's when we're going to see him move. He may be prepared for an all-out attack here very soon. So many stasis wards, man. Oy, oy, oy. Large number of Zerg, though, running on over in this direction once more. There's one Templar defending this base and a bunch of other units, too. There's Mama popping down the Time Warp. Rest of the Protoss units, though, are going to be needed over here in the Nats. But, yep, MaxPax is all over that, too. I don't know how you say war in Danish. But I've got a feeling Showtime. Showtime may have inspired this playstyle. The Dutch word for wall is muur. Muur. M-W. Not W, but like 2 U's. And then an R. I wonder if it's similar in Danish. It's gotta be. Corruptors are coming now. We do have chitinous plating coming up. Like, Rogue is spending money here like he's never gonna run out. I have a, I don't know, man. Like, he's got a bit of minerals. He's got some gas available. But we're kind of living paycheck to paycheck here as the Zerg. It can work, but it's kind of risky. He needs to really get some work done here very soon. MaxPax once more. Ooh, he gets dashed on right here. Corruptors going in around the site. Oracles do get moved in as well. Tempest trying to back up. Here comes Mama again. Storms are indeed landing now on some of the probes as well, but most of the Corruptors seem to be taking the brunt of the damage. Cloak gets activated on Mama, and yeah, with the Tempest now mostly gone out of the range of the Corruptors, MaxPax is going to be able to, again, sustain himself. Rogue immediately starts up another big round of units. In the meantime, MaxPax has snuck out another expansion. This is something that Rogue really needs to be denying. We cannot really have this expansion here coming up. We need this base down ASAP. MaxPax will be more than happy to trade armies with you if you can actually sustain it in the long run. This is such a big oversight, actually, for Rogue. Like, it's the only viable next base that MaxPax has. There should at least be a spotter unit there. Tempest just shooting whatever they can. One lurker denying mining over here. Some Zerglings going in. Corruptors now swoop forward yet again. And even though Mama does get countered, technically speaking, she just does not have... She never goes anywhere without her honor guard now, okay? She has Archon, she has a bunch of High Templar, some Tempest up in the air. Mama is no longer hanging out by herself. An actual hero unit here. She has an entourage. Honor Guard. What is better? I don't know. I think Honor Guard's good here. We work with Honor Guard. Beautiful game here by MaxPax, man. I like everything he's done so far. I mean, in isolation, I'm sure you could criticize some of the micro plays and maybe some of the macro as well. Like, this is such a risky base. Still no defense at all. But I think he is just being so aggressive now, knowing very well that Zerg is going to find it difficult to send Zerglings around the map right here. Corruptors will try to commit. They're going after Mama. No, Mama! Oh, Mama's beefy, though. Yo, Mama is so... Anyway, she has a lot of health. A lot of shields as well. We're going to recall some of the units here, apparently towards the mothership. Not exactly sure why we decided to recall that, but maybe that was just for additional style points. MaxPax remaxes out yet again, though, and Rogue's army supply has dwindled so fast. Wow. Yeah, I mean, this was pretty much perfect, right, for Protoss. Nothing really gone wrong this particular game for him. Even though he didn't really attack, I think he... Like, I mean, he did send in some Oracles and some Zealot run-bys and all the rest of it, but MaxPax controlled this game really, really nicely. Rogue hoped that he was going to be able to overwhelm the Protoss here in the mid game, and then he kind of was forced into the late game, but he did not get the job done. GG. Okay, and that takes us to the Old Republic. Match point here for MaxPax. MaxPax. Max point. Look, I slept really well last night, okay? I think I'm being so funny this cast, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that thinks this. Anyways, I'm casting for me, okay? If there happen to be people watching, so be it. Thank you for watching, by the way. I do appreciate it. Next is coming up here for the Protoss. Nexus into a good old Cybercore. Yeah, Bella only wanted food one time in the middle of the night. It was like 3:45. I had like slept like 6 hours already because I live the boomer lifestyle now. Where basically we go to bed after Bella has had her bottle of milk, and then we go to bed immediately after too, okay? Sometimes, I will admit, now with the summertime is kicking in again, we go to bed before the sun is even down. This is crazy. Like, we just close the window blinds and we pretend it's evening. This is nuts. Anyways. So I slept pretty well. I gave her a bottle of milk last night, and then, boom. Fell back asleep. Woke up at like 7:30. Whew. I feel powerful today. I've never been really good at falling back asleep. Like, I've always been really bad, actually, at falling asleep again after I get woken up in the middle of the night. But I will say, having a baby, fixed that immediately. Yeah, turns out if you're tired enough, you'll fall back asleep. Easy peasy. So if you're trying to fix your sleep schedule, maybe have a child. No. Not what I'm trying to say. Anyways, Stargate opener here again for Max. No surprise. Rogue would have loved to go for a proxy hatchery on this map too. I've seen him done it a bunch of times. That Rogue versus Spirit game that they played on this map comes to mind. I mean, that's a very different matchup, but that was a glorious game. One of the dumbest games of StarCraft I've seen, but also very entertaining. In case you missed it, the video is up on the YouTube channel, but Spirit ends up proxying a bunch of barracks over here, and then in the meantime, Rogue is proxying a hatchery in his opponent's natural. He ends up building a spine crawler here to basically prevent the units that Spirit was building on the other side of the map, to prevent them from being able to go into their own main base again. One of the craziest games I've seen in a while. All right, Oracle is now going straight across the map, and that is leaving this third base exposed. There are adepts available. Rogue, though, is going to settle just mostly here for the pylon, it seems. I wonder if he could go after the Nexus. In the meantime, those adepts, though, that are needed at home are being aggressive on the other side. And you know what? This is... Ooh, unless you kill the Oracle. This is a rough right here for the Zerg. What about the Nexus? No. Look, we killed 4 probes here. At least there was a little bit of hull damage taken on the Oracle, but 4 drones. 4 drones for 2 adepts is pretty darn good. Rogue also overmade defensive links. So now he's sitting here on a nice batch of Zerglings, and he's behind in the work account. A little bit dramatic there for just a moment. Could have gone pretty horribly wrong for Max, but I think this is all fine. Yeah, Oracles are so bloody good. It's actually interesting, right? I think Oracles are one of the absolute best units in StarCraft 2, but lately, double Oracle openers have become way more popular than triple Oracle openers. Usually in StarCraft, when we realize, okay, this unit might be a little bit too good, players overdo it. But Protoss players, man, they're smart. I think this may prove to us that Protoss players are much smarter than most people give them credit for. Because, like, if you, say you're a Terran or a Zerg player, right? If you have an overpowered unit, say you play Zerg, right? Say you have an overpowered unit, like the Queen. What do? You make many Queens. I think the Oracle is probably overtuned, but Protoss players only make like 2 of them now a game. Imagine, this isn't even their final form. Imagine if they made 3 or 4 or 6. They would be unstoppable. Oh, he's listening. He's making a 3rd. MaxPax. This guy's incredible. No, but seriously, I do think Oracles are a ridiculously powerful unit. Low-key, maybe too powerful. but we rarely see Protoss actually give in to the bait. I guess the problem is if you make too many, then Zerg will be able to counter it. Like, you could even make something like Mute Us to shut them down. Do we go Fort Oracle too? Nah. But Stasis Wards are so nice. Yeah, because if you overmake it, then you're gonna get nerfed. Because everybody will realize it. Baning Nest coming up here for Rogue. Once more opting for that quick extra hatchery over here just for larva generation. I am still very conflicted about this build. Rogue's been playing it in about half of his Zerg versus Protoss lately. Oh, hey, see? Tell me that's not a good unit. Look at the lads here in the back. You can even energy overcharge them if you want to. Get some more stasis wards out there. Now this hatchery is honestly in a bit of trouble. MaxPax only on 4 gateways though. 4 gateways, 1 for every nexus that he's got. Stasis ward yet again. You know what you could do? Throw a Revelation down with the Oracle 2, and then kill the Creep Tumor to make it more difficult for the Zerg to do this tug of war. Here we go. Backs up, blinks back. There's another Stasis ward over there too. Dude, we should make more oracles. We need more oracles. We need way more oracles. Look at this. Look, they can also activate the pulsar beam to, like, just kill the Zergling straight up. Brenda is trying her absolute hardest to get some work done. Now, I will say Rogue is actually doing a really nice job dealing with this to the best of his abilities, but this is very much so. Like, the bottleneck here is the skill of the Stalker micro, right? Like, for Zerg, you kind of just attack move and split off little packs of links to try and trigger the stasis wards. But the bottleneck here for Protoss is user error, right? Like, you can just... It's a skill issue mostly, as in, like, you need a ridiculous amount of eyes and fingers to be able to micro all of this perfectly. But the sky technically is the limit with this type of build. This is Zerg opening up with what is essentially considered the ideal opener for this build order. He made a proxy hatch, he made a macro hatch. He opened up very quick +1 melee. It's pure Zergling, and he can't stop the Stalkers. Like, how many links are we at? 162 have died. Look at this! And yet, he's only making 3 oracles. Imagine this with 6. I wonder if you make 6 oracles, whether or not the victory screen will just automatically trigger. Nobody's done it before, man. It might happen. Banelings, I kind of hate. I don't think Banelings are a good choice here at all. I mean, against the Zealots, sure. But against the Stalkers? Oh, oh my god. Oh, this is dirty. 12 o'clock expansion in the meantime is being snucked out. This Rogue is 100% tunnel visioned here on trying to get this this base down. There's an Ultralisk Cavern coming to deal with the Stalker problem. Okay, Zerg players, I think you need to close your eyes. This is, like, you know times are desperate when your best counter to a unit your opponent has is Ultralisks. MaxPax, by the way, also sitting on a very healthy number of minerals. He's going Ultras with Microbial Shroud. My god. That is... Alright, desperate times call for desperate measures, evidently. Large number of Zerglings and Banelings thinking about going in around the site. Stasis Ward! Yet again. Banelings now roll into Archons. That is the worst case scenario for them. There are still a couple of Banes available, but they roll around the side. I kind of hate it, man. An absolute disaster. So, MaxPax didn't just beat Rogue in this finals. He destroyed him. This is by far the most one-sided grand finals that I've seen for a major StarCraft tournament in 2026 so far. MaxPax honestly made it look easy. Like, he seemed to power up. This final game was certainly the most dominant. And he didn't even really make, like, more than 3 oracles. GG.